So you into reading?
I read a little bit of everything. He probably said that because we went and watched the movie Just Mercy. It's about a guy who was falsely convicted of a murder back in Alabama a long time ago. I had read the book about 3 years ago, and we talked about that afterwards. But I read a little bit of everything. I mean, I don't really have a particular genre I like more, but I'm kind of a nerd, to be honest. Um, so it's just a hobby.
Cam said the one he's been reading is called Relentless. Is that one you recommended for him?
No, no. In fact, it was probably 2 years ago. Thomas first came to me with. He's got an affinity for reading as well, and we started exchanging books. And then Cam asked about a book, and so I let him borrow one. So it's cool, just kind of to be able to connect with these guys outside of this arena here, not specifically this arena, but just the basketball court, and know that we're trying to have real relationships with them away from the court and ones that will last for a long time.
And Chris talked about the relationship that he's had with you when he made the decision to switch. How did that come? How did that unravel for you, Chris, deciding to come here over A&M?
So I've known Chris for probably since he was a freshman in high school, and watched him and several of his friends play throughout their careers, and recruited that area pretty hard. Always admired his work ethic, his basketball IQ, his savvy, and we didn't think we were going to be able to get him. When we were recruiting in the fall of last year, we certainly didn't sign him. We still had a fairly large class. We had 4 guys signed, I believe, in the fall, and he had committed to A&M. I just kind of still watched him, and obviously the coaching change happened in the spring. We had some changes in our roster, and the opportunity just kind of matched, and I'm glad that he's here.
Did you feel fortunate that someone like Chris can fall back to you?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to feel like you can add players who have great value, but certainly guys beyond their ability that are about the things that you believe in. Works really hard. Education is important to him, so he goes to class, he does the right things away from the court. He wants to learn. He's not a guy who, I'm sure he wants to play professional basketball, but he's not consumed every day by looking up where his name is on the draft board and how he compares to whoever else might be out there. He's just completely committed to seeing how this process plays out and trying to become the best teammate that he can.
He's come a long ways too, right?
Yeah. I mean, first it was just getting his body up to speed. He attacked that when he first got here this summer. Did a great job with Jake and our nutritionist. And he made a commitment to making sure that he was going to be able to help us a little bit this year. He hasn't had the best season from a number standpoint, but again, for me, it's a big picture deal.
Cam said that Chris hadn't really mentioned his familiarity with A&M. How does he seem to be approaching this matchup going into it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't sense anything different. It's a different circumstance, Obviously, it's not like he decommitted and those coaches are still there. It's a totally different situation. Yeah, I think they may have talked to the new staff when they got hired and just didn't see a fit or a match. And so felt comfortable coming up here, and his family's been tremendously supportive of us helping him grow as a young man. And so I don't sense that he's looked back for 1 second, and that's good for us.
What have you seen out of Texas A&M, just from a competition standpoint?
Yeah, so usually as you get into conference play, you don't really pay that much attention anymore to the non-conference teams. So I really haven't watched a ton of them, but obviously I've dove into them since yesterday after the Iowa State game. They're a team that you can tell is finding its identity. They played much better basketball in the last 3 weeks than they did the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. They're very physical. They don't play at a great pace right now because I think they're trying to manage possessions. They do a tremendous job drawing fouls. I think they have a center who's shooting like 75% from the field, which means we've got to have he's getting to the free throw line and he's scoring a lot of points around the rim, so we got to have a game plan for him. And we got to keep ourselves in transition offensively to try to negate them keeping the game at a slower pace.
You think your defense can your pressure defense kind of help speed that up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean that's we believe that that's a way to attack a team who wants to control tempo, extend the floor, and try to make them play at a little bit faster speed. We also believe that we've got to play faster offensively ourselves, and by pressuring we can maybe force some turnovers and get out and get some easier baskets.
A couple of pretty intense moments today during practice. Didn't seem like the younger guys, like they sulked up or anything like that. How do they handle that pressure and especially, going 0-6 in conference play to start their career?
The record is what it is. No one's happy about it, but I don't sense. You guys have been here. I don't get the feeling like they're feeling sorry for themselves. We know that we've got. If it's going to change, it's got to be us. We've got to make it happen. And so, our approach is to come in and practice hard. You guys just happen to be here at that time in practice today. That's not unusual for those competitive moments to happen. So it's not really anything unusual for me. Practice is over. Those guys seem to be fine with each other. So we'll come back tomorrow and we'll try to get better again and get ready for the game on Saturday.
Cam used the phrase sense of urgency. How do you think that the seniors and the whole team then builds that sense of urgency going the rest of the season?
Well, I may have alluded to it in some post-game press conferences. You get to this point in your career as a senior, and you start to think. It's unavoidable that how much longer is this going to last? It's one of the hardest things, and every team in the country is going to go through this. When the seniors' final moments and winding down, it's pretty emotional. So what I told those guys is, let's control the things that we truly have control over now. Let's not look back in 2 months and say, well, we should have been a little bit more conscious of this, or we should have paid a little bit more attention to that, or we should have pushed ourselves a little bit harder to help our team. And so just playing with the sense that, we really don't know any of them when it's going to be the last day. But truly for the seniors, it's more realistic that this thing really is winding down, and they want to try to finish on as positive of a note as they possibly can.
Last week, JL didn't play in 2 games, and he looked a little more aggressive, settled in at Iowa State. Was that week kind of reset for him?
Yeah, I think so. JL, I don't think it's for him. It's been a hard transition. He hasn't really been able to find himself within our program yet. But in his defense, he's been as good a teammate, has been as coachable, as committed to helping our team as anybody has. And that's really hard to do when you're 23 years old. This is really your last chance, and you're sitting on the bench and watching some freshmen who quite honestly, probably aren't ready yet. They've got talent, and you can see it from time to time. But I can see how it would be frustrating in his seat. He's had a great attitude, and he's continued to work hard, and he's continued to put together good practices. And now I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable with, I'm just going to go play as hard as I can, and whenever coach needs me, I'm going to try to, contribute. And other than that, I'm going to be a good teammate and, try to help the young guys learn what college basketball is about.
Did you like what you saw Tuesday night when he?
Yeah. Again, for me, it always starts with practice. And it really, whether we're talking about Caleb Boone or Jonathan Laurent, right? One who's 2 different ends of the spectrum, right, in terms of experience. It's still about what you do in the practice court every day and how we feel like you're prepared to help us in the game. He's been pretty consistent here lately, and I hope for his sake, because it'll be good for us if he can build some consistent production, because it'll take some pressure off some other guys.
Cam's a point away from 1,000. We talk about the seniors collectively a lot, but what has he in particular meant to the program?
Man, all those guys have meant a great deal. I don't know how far away Thomas is. I'm not sure he can get there, but
He
to
needs
think.
to average 15 points a game.
Okay, well, we need to get. I need to get him some more shots. Then that's what that means. But it's tremendous. It's a great honor. I never got there. It's a great accomplishment. Obviously means that he's been on the court a lot during his career and has been able to find ways to have success. And a lot of times undersized at his position for his whole career. So a testament to him buying into trying to help us win however he can, and his work ethic, because he's improved greatly over the course of his time here. Came in as just an athlete, a guy who could run up and down the floor and dunk, and now he can, he's still not the best ball handler, but he can rip drive and get downhill because of his strength, and he can obviously get going from 3. Hasn't shot it as well this year, but a guy who's going to continue to play basketball for a while and probably make good money doing it.
Cam said that the message from you guys is from the top to bottom. You're trying to get people. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
It's all good. Take your time.
You're starting 0-6. Cam said the goals stay the same. Do you agree, or is that something preached from top to bottom, that you're trying to keep the thing in mind that you can make the NCAA tournament, or is it just game by game?
Yeah, I think the goals. We won't change the goals. I mean, at this point, you commit yourself to it and you try to make the most of what you can. I don't think there's a need to focus on the tournament. I don't think there's ever a need to focus on that. Focus needs to be on, let's try to be as good as we can on Saturday. And let's try to go 1-0 then. And if we can, then we'll come back and figure out what we did well, try to build on that, clean up some things that we didn't do so well, and then get ready for the next one. Try to keep them away from the big picture, because I think that's where you get lost. You lose focus on the things that you got to do every day to get better, and that's going to be true for every team in the country. Baylor, who's number one, or us, who 0-6 in league play, there's got to be a focus on improvement throughout the season.
Cade was named a McDonald's All-American today. What does that mean for the program and for you guys?
It's a big deal. You know, in some ways, I don't want people to think I'm disregarding this year's team, because I'm not. With our focus is totally on trying to still maximize what we can be this year. But we're not going to ignore that it's a big deal for us to get a kid who's of his caliber, who decided that this is a place he believes he can achieve the type of goals that he wants to. And he's going to be able to help not only the guys that will be coming back next year be better, but it's going to allow us to continue to mine those fields where those high-level players are, and show them that, you know what, that there aren't just a couple of schools you can go to and have success. You know, Oklahoma State is one of those places where you can have the biggest of goals and still be able to go there and feel like the process will be exactly the same as if you went anywhere else.
Did you see anything change as far as your three-point defense against Iowa State, or is it more just them hitting shots?
Not really. I mean, I really believe this. I think a big part of it is obviously they got two really good guards in Boynton and Halliburton, but the game for us was we got crushed inside the paint. I mean, they had a guy who was averaging, and this is no disrespect to Solomon Young, who I think is a good player, but he was averaging about 4 points and 3 rebounds in the 6 previous games to ours. He had 27 points on 8 shots. I mean, it's easy to point to the 3-point shot, but when they're scoring that easy inside, it makes it hard for you to not figure out, all right, how do we negate this? And we obviously didn't do a good job doing either one. But we'll have an opportunity to review. We'll play them again down the road, and we'll have a better game plan next time.
Can this game against A&M be big in terms of recruiting? Because you don't play a lot, but you recruit the same areas.
Yeah, I don't know how much the games necessarily impact recruiting. You know, maybe our in-state game is a little bit different. But outside of that, I think recruiting is just such a daily deal, man. I mean, and kids, I don't think get caught up in who wins a game as much as how they fit and what you're doing. So we want to win them all. And we think the more we win, the better recruiting is, no question. But a specific game, I don't know if that has that much of impact on it.
You've been around college basketball for a while. I'm sure you saw highlights of what happened at Kansas the other night. Just, do you have any thoughts on that situation?
Yeah, I wouldn't call those highlights.
Yeah.
Man, it's unfortunate. I mean, obviously, I don't know why or what happened. Certainly hope we're never in a situation where we have to deal with something like that. I know both coaches, obviously, really well. Neither one of them condone that type of behavior. And it's unfortunate for our league that, you know, obviously two pretty well-known teams, that would happen. So it's unfortunate. The truth is everybody has an opportunity to learn. You know, they're kids. Not that it excuses the behavior, but, you know, I was 19 once and, you know, in the heat of a moment made bad choices. And I hope that somewhere we still can have compassion for people making mistakes at a young age, especially in a heated deal. I'm sure those kids feel terrible. I mean, nobody probably feels worse about it than them, unless someone got injured, right? So it's really unfortunate, and it shouldn't happen.
Looking ahead a little bit, you got a big Monday game again, second time this season coming up. What does Big Monday mean now?
I mean, there are only a few games on, right? Different than even being on a prime time, unless you have game day at your campus. On Saturday, there's so many games, and you don't necessarily have the entire country watching. So yeah, it's a big deal, and for us on Monday specifically, even more important. Remember the 10 and everything that means to our program, being able to honor the families and the legacies of the people who lost their lives that day. But playing on Big Monday specific, it's a great opportunity to be on the national stage. Things like that in terms of the games, not necessarily whether you win or lose, help with recruiting, right? And we got another opportunity against a really good team on that night.
It's been a few years since you've hosted it too, until this year.
Yeah, I don't think we've hosted one at all since I've been here, and that includes the year that I was an assistant. So yeah, it's been a while.
Did you watch that growing up? Were you a Big Monday fan? Because that's been around a long time. Was that something you were mindful of?
Yeah, I mean, TV's changed so much. Like that might have been the only games on,
Yeah.
So yeah, you watched it, and it was one channel. I mean, it was just ESPN. It wasn't 2 and U and Plus and Fox. And so yeah, you watched whatever was on. I was a huge basketball fan, so I watched as much as I could when I wasn't playing. So I remember Big Monday for a long time.
Any memories of those games at all? Anyone stick out?
Not particularly. I don't remember if it was Big Monday or not, but the Big 12 games that stick out in my mind, I remember Mike Beasley beating Kansas basically by himself in Manhattan one year, or his year in college. And I remember the game here against Texas. I don't know if it was a Big Monday game, but Byron Eaton hits a shot falling out of bounds, and it went to triple overtime, I think. And we had a guy who looked like he was just as good as Kevin Durant that day somehow. And we won the game, so that was pretty neat to watch. I don't remember if that was a Big Monday game. I just remember it being a pretty cool game to watch.